Hello, everyone. Hope I am audible, clear enough. Can you please confirm via message or give me a thumbs up? Yeah, fine. Thank you. Thank you for the confirmation. I think we are good to start. Yes, somebody has raised their hands. Yeah, Shweta. Was it by mistake or?
Yes, it's by mistake. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, okay. No problem, no problem. Okay, so yeah, welcome everyone to the fourth session and the last session of this particular uh, course, that is certification of distinction in contract and policy drafting. I know from the last 3 weeks, this is the fourth week, so Wednesdays have been very educational learning, both for us, both of us, that is you and I. And we are here in the last session, that is about procurement policy. So here in this session, we will be studying everything about procurement policy, what is procurement and why it is required. Why do we require a policy for procurement, and how it is related to the contract management, and what are the best practices that we can do, and how a procurement policy impacts the contract management. Now let's get started by understanding what do you mean by procurement policy. So, procurement policy is something which sets a standard. It sets a bar. Like it is, I could say that it is, in simple words, it is the eligibility criteria. Now, when you join to a course, you can consider this particular one like it is, you will have to meet an eligibility criteria that yes, you should be having some basic knowledge and all other things. You should have completed your degree or whatsoever, and then after that you have to attend the sessions, you have to pay the fees and then attend the sessions, and then clear the attempt the assessment, followed by the certification, issue of certification. So the entire thing is followed in the case of the procurement policy as well, like in the entire procurement thing, how it is going to function. So everything will be decided in the procurement policy. Now, what is procurement? Procurement is acquiring goods and services. So it is the one that guides the employees in the decision making. Like, how are you going to decide? Like, okay, for example, now what is the steps that you have followed, that okay, I am going to register this course from Indian Institute of Industrial and Professional Studies. So what is that process? You might have looked for other institutions who are offering similar kind of course. You might have compared the curriculum, you might have looked at the profile of the tutor, you might have looked at their review, and finally you have come to a conclusion that okay, so all my parameters are checked, and I'm going to finalize Indian Institute of Industrial and Professional Studies. Or if you have some other institute, then okay, so I am going to finalize this institute. So that entire process is called as procurement policy. Now, again, similar to that of the privacy policy and other policies, it will not have any kind of preamble, nor there will be any kind of execution. It will not be signed between the parties, any parties, not necessarily two parties or bi-party, tri-party. With no one, it will be signed. So it's again not signed document, and hence we will have versions. So it will have version number 1, version number 2, or version 1.1. The amendments will be made. Okay. So there is, even if the amendment is there, it will be called as amended policy. It will be more specifically referred as versions itself. So this is all about introduction to the procurement policy. So some of them have joined a little late, like now. I'll brief what it is, procurement policy again. So procurement policy is the one that sets the standards. Now, for example, human resource policy, it sets the standards, it sets the criteria for recruiting the resources. Like, okay, so this designation is vacant. So this is the criteria. The person should have completed so and so year of experience. He should have so and so qualification. He should have cleared these many rounds. So all of these things will be established. So after that, that person will be brought into the picture, like he will be recruited. Similar way, in the case of the procurement policy also, while the company, while purchasing its any of the goods or services, they will tell that this is how the things would be. So this is how the vendor selection would happen, this is how the things will be scrutinized, and this is how it will be finalized. And again, here there is no preamble, there is no execution, there will be versions. Okay, so amendments and updates, whatever is done, it will be in the form of versions. So this is the introduction to procurement policy. Now, procurement policy, there are certain key terms that we have to understand before we actually draft or review a procurement policy. First thing is request for information, RFI. So this is done, um, as the name itself suggests, you are asking for certain information. Okay, so do you provide these kind of courses, or what is the accreditations that you have, all other things. You are gathering the information. That is called as request for information. And then we have request for quote. So once you get to know that, okay, so this company is providing these many services, and they are meeting our needs and all of the things, once you get that formalized, then you will ask them for quote. That is called as RFQ, request for quote. Like you are asking the price. Next, we have request for proposal. Request for proposal, RFP, is the one that that's a kind of more detailed one. Okay, so that will have the entire bid, in the sense it will have the service that we provide specifically, the timeline that we have, and the responses, and also the any kind of service level metrics, that is any services that we provide will have certain kind of grade, certain kind of level. So all of those things has to be specifically mentioned in the proposal. So these three terms are used before finalizing a vendor or before executing the contracts. So we have RFI, we have RFQ, and RFP. Need not necessary that RFI should be there or RFQ should be there. RFP will be definitely there, because it is the detailed document which will provide all the terms and services. After this, there will be one document called as proof of concept. So proof of concept is a document which is a detailed version of, I could say, representation and warranties. That in, yes, you have agreed for all of these terms. In proof of concept, more than the legal terms, it will be emphasizing on the commercial terms. Like these are the commercial terms that we have agreed into. So these are the some of the documents which are related to the procurement process or procurement life cycle, apart from that of the contract. Now, next we have one major important document that is called as purchase order. So purchase order is a document that is issued by a buyer to the supplier. So the buyer will issue it to the supplier. Okay, that he is telling that, okay, these are the goods and services will be ordered, and this is the price, this is the quantity, and this is the terms of delivery. And also the purchase order will always have reference to the contract under which it is issued. If there is no contract, then the purchase will be governed by the PO terms, purchase order terms. That is totally different than that of the procurement policy. It can have the procurement policy will have a reference to the purchase order terms, but it is totally a different document altogether. Okay. Now there is one more concept called as invoice. So invoice is something that is issued by the supplier to the buyer. Okay, so I hope you are getting it very clear. Purchase order is something that is issued by a buyer to the supplier, wherein invoice is issued by the supplier to the buyer. Okay, so after the invoice is issued, then the payment will be made. And sometimes in some organization, in some procurement policies, what they do is like they do not ask specifically for invoice. They process the purchase order, they have their own softwares, so they upload, and the company accepts it, and the service approval is done. So based on that, they do. The documentation procedure varies from company to company, depending on the nature of the services or goods that they deal with, the nature of the size of the company also, like what is the turnover and how huge the company is. Depending on those things, the procurement methodologies may change, but the meaning of the documents remains same. Next, we have tendering. So, tendering, this tender process is, you might have seen, very common, not very common, mandatory in government sector. So, what they do is like they tell that, see, we have to get this job done, and this is our terms and conditions. So, can you get this job done for us? They'll uh, openly put up it in the public platform. Looking at that, people who are providing those kind of services, whoever are meeting those criteria, would come up telling, yes, I will provide you the service, and this is the price I quote, and this is the best offer that I give. Based on that, whosoever wins the bid, like it will be having different parameters, who quotes very less, or who would provide good services, or who is meeting all the eligibility criteria that is mentioned by the government, or the person who has invited for bid. So based on that, he will be winning the bid, he will be winning the project, and he'll be working on that project. This process of inviting bids is called as tendering. Okay, so this tenders are published. We have one government portal called as e-procurement portals. So over there you can find plenty of tender notification, and also in the newspapers also you can find it. Next, we have supply chain management. Supply chain management uh, is management of the suppliers. That is, see, from sourcing, procurement, delivery of goods or sub services from the suppliers to the end user, like managing everything. That is called as supply chain management. Finding the correct suppliers. Now, if you want something, I could say something which is you want it like delivered at very quickly, you cannot wait for a day or two. So at that point of time, you will choose Blinkit, Zepto. Okay, they'll give it quickly. Things wherein you can wait, or you are not able to find it in those platforms, you will move for Amazon, then you will move for offline shopping. So that is called as supply chain management, managing the demand and supply thing. So these are the few of the very important topics which are related to the procurement policy, apart from that of the contractual terms. And also, when you speak about sourcing, there are different kind of sourcing, which is also a part of procurement. Sourcing means finding the right suppliers. That is called as sourcing. Okay, there are different kinds of sourcing, different levels of sourcing, like strategic sourcing and so many other things. That's a different ocean altogether. But for as of now, in the purview of drafting a procurement policy or reviewing a procurement policy, these are things that is required. I hope this is clear to you. Now we have one question. I request everyone to participate actively. The question is very simple. How does procurement differ from purchasing? What is the difference between procurement and purchasing? So the four options are: procurement involves strategic approach, while purchasing is more transactional. Procurement is only concerned with purchasing goods at lowest price. Purchasing is broader and includes supplier relationship management. There is no significant difference between procurement and purchasing. So please let me know your answer in the comment section, or feel free to unmute and tell the answers. One, okay, okay, one, okay, one and three, Yeah, we have like around more than 15 people. I have got only five answers. Some more answers, please. One. Okay. One. Okay. One. Okay. Okay. So I'll go with the flow. Now that everyone are telling one, I'll also agree with you. Procurement involves a strategic approach while purchasing is more transactional. See, purchasing is a part of procurement. Okay, so procurement it involves finding a supplier, checking the background of the supplier, onboarding him, doing everything, and then later on issuing a purchase order, which constitutes purchasing part. Okay, so issuing a purchase order constitutes purchasing part, and then receiving invoice and then payment. So purchasing is a part of procurement. Procurement is more broader, and it involves a lot of strategic thing. Purchasing means, now suppose you want to have wheat flour. So what will you do? You will find wherever you will find a shop which has all the grocery, you will go and you purchase it. That is called as purchasing. You just go randomly. You don't ask for the, you don't ask the shopkeeper like, show me all your documentation, have you filed regularly filed your GST, have you done that, have you done this. No, you don't ask all of those things. But in procurement you ask all of those things. You look for everything in detail about the status, about the discounts, about the offers, and also you have a contract, or based on the PO terms you will purchase it later. Okay, so purchasing comes on the later part of the procurement. So this is the basic difference between procurement and purchasing. I hope this concept is clear to you. Now, procurement policy will understand with the help of the example of grocery shopping. I am sure everybody would have done grocery shopping here. So when we do a grocery shopping, what is the first thing that we do? The first thing that we do is create a shopping list, like what I want. All of us would have seen that in our homes. Now that I do it in my home, like I'll make a huge list. Okay, so this is complete, this has got over, that has got over, and I need this, I need that. I need to replace my mop, I need to bring a new broom, I need to get some more additional kitchen scrubbers, I need to get that, I need to get this. So the first thing that we do is creating a shopping list. After that, what we do is set a grocery budget. Like I'll see, okay, so, I have these many things that are to be purchased. Is that in my budgeting or not? So I'll do that. Okay. After that, select a supplier or store selection. Like from where do I want to purchase? So now, if given the option, I'll have so many things in my mind that, okay, so should I purchase it from any online store, or should I go in person and purchase it? How do I prefer it? Okay, so now we also have our favorite shops, right? Like, for example, for me, if you ask me, I do not prefer shopping or ordering vegetables online. What I do is like I go and I select myself. I prefer that. Okay, so the individual preference also matters here. So based on that, we do the store selection or the mode selection. After that, we have item selection and check for discounts and promotions. Okay, so once we are done, as I said, manually choosing the vegetables. Okay, so if I have to shop tomatoes, then I would be like, okay, I'll be not picking the ones that are totally red. I'll be picking the ones that are a little red so that it will have some shelf life when I bring home. And also, we do bargain. Hey, this is not 50 rupees, 60 rupees, reduce 10 rupees, 20 rupees, whatever it is, everybody does that. Okay, and also we see if there are any offers, any promotions. If we are doing it online, we do check for any coupon codes, any discounts or cashback in using Google Pay or credit cards. After that, we take the delivery of the collection. So once the payment is made, we do collect the products. And even after, once we reach home, we do check for the product quality and inspection. Now if it is Online, more specifically, you will not have the choice option of item selection, right? So when it comes to you, you will look at that one, okay, if it is all right or not. And after that, there is payment. So payment, it can go here and there. Like some places it will be, if it is not on cash on delivery, then it will be earlier. Payment will be done earlier before delivery and collection. If you have chosen cash on delivery, then after your product quality and inspection, you will do the payment. So the payment can go here and there. And in addition to that, sustainability and ethical sourcing. Yes, here what we do is like we will not use plastic bags. Okay, so many of the shops in Bangalore, like they do not give plastic bags. They tell that, hey, pay 20 rupees, 30 rupees extra and take a cloth bag, or take this paper bag. So that's a part of ethical sourcing. And then supplier relationship and loyalty. Yes, see, some places we go very much regularly and they'll be like, see, we come to your shop always, give us some discount, give us some this. We speak to the shopkeeper nicely, the shopkeeper speak to us nicely, we give good reviews of them. And whenever we have to purchase, we always go to them. All those things also constitutes. So this is not just a simple grocery shopping, but also the entire start procurement policy, or the procurement process which is behind the grocery shopping. So if you ever get confused, like while working on any contract or while working as a procurement specialist or a business analyst, then do compare it with like the similar day-to-day routines, a normal routine that you do. Even that involves all of these complications. Now, while I was preparing the slide, I was like wondering, okay, so grocery shopping has a lot many things to do. It's not just going to shop and purchasing. It's the entire procurement policy. And sometimes here you have to add the approvals also, right? Like not always we have the approval to purchase. We have to get some approvals. Okay, I want to buy this, can I get this? This approval is needed sometimes, like for the children, especially if they want to purchase some chocolates and all other things, they'll be like, can you add this chocolate, can I get that? In shops also they'll bring the chocolate. Those who have children could relate to me in this one. Like they'll get the chocolates, can I take this chocolate? So somewhere or the other you can fit in the approval process also. So this is the procurement practice, or the procurement process behind the simplest grocery shopping. Yeah, and one more last one that was left is post purchase evaluation. Like we check the rates, like is that okay or not, have we brought it at a good rate or not? This basically I do whenever I purchase vegetables. Like I then later look at the online rates, like is that matching, have I paid more or not? So this is what I do. Yeah. So now one more question. So this I have already covered, but still I wanted to know how good you people are listening to me, a kind of small test. So the question is, in procurement, which document is typically used to confirm the purchase of goods or services? Options are invoice, purchase order, delivery receipt, or payment receipt. One, two, okay, one, two. Okay, there is still confusion between invoice and purchase order. Purchase order. Okay. So there is tough competition between purchase order and invoice. Please do not use Google or ChatGPT for this one, or Google Gemini. Anyone? Come on, guys. We are more than 16 people, and I have got, yeah, exactly six, 7 answers. Any more answers? No answers? Okay, the correct answer is purchase order. So now let me tell you the difference between these. See, purchase order is given when I order something. Okay, so this is what I am ordering. That is called as purchase order. After that, what you will receive is, you will receive invoice. Yes, you have ordered this, we have delivered this, this is the final bill paid to us. Delivery receipt is while uh, giving the order. Okay, like you have given this, the product is successfully delivered, so that is called as delivery receipt. Or I have received it, you acknowledging it, like I have received it in the correct condition. Payment receipt is wherein you are acknowledging the payment. Okay. And also, uh, purchase order, you do remember, purchase order is given from the buyer to the seller, wherein invoice is given from the seller to the buyer. Okay, so there you can make this purchase order from the buyer to the seller, that yes, we are placing this particular order. Invoice, the seller will later give it to the buyer, telling that we have provided these many goods and this is what you are supposed to pay to us. Okay, and also remember, there will not be any terms for invoice. It will be like invoice will be paid in so and so date. That's all. But in purchase order will have some terms and conditions, like these are the purchase order terms, these are the purchase order issued so and the invoice will be paid in so and so date. Okay. Against purchase order, goods or services will be delivered or provided, then against invoice the bill will be paid, that is invoice amount will be paid. I hope this is clear to you. And this is the reason why, if you see in the purchase order, it will not have taxation part. Wherein when invoice is generated, it will have the taxation part. Okay. I hope the difference between invoice and purchase order is clear. If it is not clear, then I'll again further let you know in the end session, the end part of the session. Now let us start drafting the procurement policy. So when we, as we know that we will not have any kind of preamble or anything like that, we'll just start with an objective, as we start with, as we studied the same for the privacy policy, we'll write an objective. And the first thing that we write is needs assessment, and market analysis. Now when a company tells that, for example, let us imagine we are running a company and we want some stationery. So now we want to place the order. So now we want to see whether our demand or our needs for stationery is as per the terms and conditions of the procurement policy. So the first thing that we have to see is, okay, define specification. The procurement policy should have specifications, like what is the departments and what are their needs. So if they have any needs, then how it is going to be governed. Okay. And what does this company require? Okay, now for example, we are purely online institute, we do not have any offline centers. Now if the purchase department or any of the employee demands that I want 500 notebook, I want 500 pencil, I want 500 pens, then the question will be arising, why is that required for the functioning of the company when we are entirely an online institute? If the demand or if the need was for the system or for the laptop, then it was justifiable. But what is the need for the stationary items for us as an institute? So these things has to be specifically called out here. After that, stakeholder consultation or approvals. Now every department will have an HOD, so that particular HOD should be approving it. Okay, so this person has these many demands and this is what they want and this is how, why it is required, and this is the quality that we need, this is how it is going to be functioned. So the HOD is going to give the approval. Okay. If it is not HOD, then the director of the department or the head of the department, if it is in case of company, whatever it is, however the company organization, depending on the organizational hierarchy, it has to be approved. Some market research. So you will start exploring the market, like what is the trend in the market, what is the price that has been quoted in the market, and how it is. And then along with that, forecasting demand also. See now, we also should know, is this our one time purchase or is that our recurring purchase, or how much we need it further. Okay, now while purchasing groceries also we'll be knowing, right? Okay, so I will need 5 kg of rice for this week, and I'll need another 5 kg of rice for the other another next week. So that way I should be able to assess whether it is a one time purchase or the repetitive purchase. Next, planning, sourcing, and budget. So here I'll have to lay guidelines for sourcing. What is the method by which I will source the vendors? Like, where will I search for them? Will I search for them online, or will I give them the tenders? Will I invite for bids, or will I uh, go for some referrals, or will I go back to any of the database that our company has? So I'll look for that. What is the kind of methodology that we are going to adopt to find the clients? Okay, find the vendors. After that, cost estimation, like how much cost it would be to us, like what is the cost that we have to bear. So once this cost estimation is done, we'll have to go and ask for the approval of budget, that this is the cost and this is the budget that we require. And also, while approving the budget also, there will be different parameters, like the budget will be allocated departmental wise, or sometimes as an entire unit, or for a specific project, however it is. So that has to be specifically called out, that yes, this is the fund that is allocated for this particular purpose or this particular department for this financial year or calendar year or quarter. So depending on the company, depending on the size of the company, it has to be done. And sometimes what will be happening is, the stakeholder, in this stage of stakeholder consultation, they'll be asked to source, they'll be asked to estimate, and they'll be only asked to submit for approval of budget. If the company size is small and there is no separate procurement department for them, then it is the stakeholder, it is the HOD, or it is the head of the department, or whoever is requiring it. They are supposed to do it all by themselves and then submit it for the finance team for approval of the budget. And then the approval process goes on. After that, we have supplier selection. So once the approval of budget and all is done, so we'll have these vendors shortlisted in the sourcing process. We will select the supplier. We'll check for their background. We will check for their certain criteria, like where are they registered, what is the nature of the company, okay, nature of the legal entity, whether it is an LLP, private limited, public limited, or the proprietorship firm, how they are functioning, and what is their annual turnover. All of these things will be done. And also, after that, they'll be having RFP, RFQ, and all other things. And also, the criteria for shortlisting the supplier is different from one company to the another company. Some companies have a stringent policy that they'll be looking at their websites, and also if there is any data involved or any tech things that is involved, then they will be trying some ethical hacking kind of thing, and they'll be checking how secure their website is, or how secure their databases are. So all of these things will be done. And also they'll see what is the record, like if there is any a criminal case that is pending against the company or the legal entity more precisely, or their directors, how are they functioning, what is their liability, what is their shareholding pattern. So all of these things will be checked. Again, I would say that this depends from company to company, and some are very liberal, wherein some are very, 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 very stringent in this process. So it is purely contingent thing, which we cannot assume here that this is how it is going to be. It is on the size of the company or the nature of the company. Next, we come into contracting. So the first thing that they do is NDA. non-disclosure agreements. That is because while discussing about all these things, while even before giving the tender or even before giving the work to them, there will be a discussion about a lot of trade secrets or business secrets, and they'll be letting them know about their future plans, about some of the intellectual property that they may hold, maybe copyrights, patents, which are still not yet done, which are still in progress, or they may share some data. So, to ensure that all of these things are protected, they'll first and foremost thing they'll do is they'll execute a NDA. And now again, I will tell you that that's not a hard and fast rule or a thumbs rule that yes, this has to be there. Without that, it cannot be done. Again, it is the discretion of the company to do it or not to do it. If they do it, it's well and good. But if they don't do it, there is a little exposure to the risk. But however, things can be managed. And apart from that, it will set forth the terms and conditions, legal compliances, that is, certain statutory compliances that are to be done will be done. And now, exceptions. So now you can ask me, what are the exceptions for not having a contract? So here, what happens is we cannot execute contract in time always. For example, the service is going to be provided on let me give you a realistic example which many of you can relate. Like, the workshop is scheduled today at 8:30 p.m. and you have registered it at 8 p.m. Then it is not practically possible that any of our team members would leave the background work, because it involves a lot thing. Like today you have seen how what a big mess it was. Like, the dates was all messed up. So there involves a lot of back end work too. So it is not practically possible for our from our end to ensure that we send you the receipt within 30 minutes or as early as possible. So we may not send you the receipt, but we may give an confirmation that yes, we have received the amount, and this is the link for the session, you can join it. So those are the exceptions. Even here, in the company case also, they want to start the service, but they are not able to execute the contract by this time. Then what they can do is, like, they can follow the approval mechanism as you establish under procurement policy, and govern the contract or govern the business transaction on the basis of the purchase order terms. So you need not necessarily have a contract every time. For example, now the company wants to purchase 25 bags. It's a one time purchase. So now you cannot have a contract with a bag seller for 25 bags. Hey, we want to purchase 25 bags. Give us the contract for this one. Like, let's execute a contract. Come on, let's execute a service provider agreement, or let's enter into some kind of agreement. No, that's not practically possible. So it is very important for you to add these exceptions in the procurement policy. Now, what would happen, or how would you purchase when there is no legally binding agreements? At that point of time, you can set up an approval mechanism, like it will be approved by these many people based on the price and all other things. Or you can write that it will be as per the purchase order terms. Again, I would say that this would be depending on the nature of the company, size of the company, and the volume of the transactions that you do. You may not understand it now, or you may feel that a little lost here, but I'll be practically walking you through the procurement policy, and I'll be showing you how this clause is defined, so it will be easier for you to understand it. And next we have order placement. Yeah, in order placement, we will do purchase order creation, inventory and storage planning, delivery, inspection and quality control. This is very important to be mentioned in the procurement policy. And then we'll have documentation, and then we have contingency planning. Okay, so can they have a backup plan? Can the procurement have a backup plan? And how are they supposed to do it? And then you are having risk management and mitigation. So if there is any risk involved in it, how is the procurement policy going to govern it? And next we have payment. So here you can see, after purchase order creation, invoice verification will be done. Okay, so invoice verification, after that payment approval will be done, and then record will be kept. Now you can ask me, how is invoice verified? What is the process of invoice verification? And so in many of the corporates, you will have this job, especially if you are working as a in P2P process or PO team, wherein you will have to do these kind of verifications. So invoice verification, invoice will have always reference to the purchase order. So you have to see whether the purchase order terms are similar to that of the invoice terms. Like whatever you have ordered, the quality, the quantity, and any other specification that is mentioned should be same in that of the invoice. And also the pricing also should be same as that of the purchase order. But in invoice, the additional thing is taxation. Tax part will not be discussed or will not be added in the purchase order, wherein in invoice taxes will be added. And also you have to see whether the product or the services that we have received, that we have been billed against in invoice, is covered under the contract or not. You have to open the contract pages, and then you have to see whether the scope of service or the goods that is mentioned is covering the services or goods that we have covered in the invoice, and also whether the payment terms are matching or not. Also the pricing also has to be looked into. So these are the parameters by how you verify a purchase order as well as an invoice. Also in invoice, one more thing you have to see is they'll be mentioning the bank account. So you have to see whether it is the same bank account or not. That is that of the legal entity. You cannot pay to somebody else. Now, for example, XYZ Private Limited Company has entered into a contract with ABC Private Limited Company. Now, XYZ Company Private Limited has sent an invoice for the payment, and they have mentioned the account details of DEF Private Limited Company. Now they cannot pay that. That invoice will be on hold. The reason for that is we have contract. It will not be somebody else will not be getting benefited out of it, or somebody will not be paid for that particular contract as a consideration. So here we will apply the doctrine of privity of contract. So you have to keep all these checklists while verifying the invoices or purchase order. Next, we have so in procurement policy, we have compliance and ethical standards, where we will be looking into supplier onboarding. See, supplier onboarding, it's a different process altogether. We will have a separate team called as supplier management team, and this will be renamed, like the name will be different in different companies, but generically it is supplier management team. What they do is like, I'm sure all of you have done KYC, know your customer, in banks and all other places, wherein you prove your identity, you give your Aadhaar card, you give that, you give this. Same way, the supplier or vendor will give all their details, like they'll give their certificate of incorporation, they'll give their license, they'll give their accreditations, they'll share everything, and they'll get their profile verified. Some companies even ask for the director's profile, like who is the board of directors and all other things. All those things happen. That is called as supplier onboarding. you make you create a profile of the supplier in the website. Now, for example, in Indian Institute of Industrial and Professional Studies website, you create your profile, right? So you can consider similar kind of thing for the supplier onboarding also. But there they ask for supporting documents. Now, if you're telling that, okay, my highest qualification is LLM, okay, attach your LLM certification. Okay, that is attach your degree certificate. That is called as supplier onboarding process. Next, we have anti-corruption practices, wherein by taking bribes, tenders will not be issued to them, or the project will not be issued to them. There will not be any scope for any kind of corruptions or taking of bribe. And then we have legal compliance. Certain things are to be adhered by law. Okay, certain statutory requirements is to be met. All of those things has to be done. Auditing and internal controls, yes, it is very important that you do audit of the work, you do audit of the company, you do audit of the service providers. Next, we have key performance indicators, KPIs. So it is the one that is usually done after the contractors completed. Okay, like how the performance is going on, whether the compliance is all right, compliance is done in time, and whether everything is on place, all the approvals should be there, license should be renewed, so everything should be all right, there should not be any problems. These are things are called as key performance indicators, KPIs. So it is basically a regular checkup in very simple words. Next, we have dispute resolution and claims management. So this is wherein you settle in your dispute. You check whether if there is any kind of issues going on, or if any demands come, like, yeah, I want this to be paid. I am suffering losses for these many things. So that is covered under dispute resolution and claims management part. And now here, so these are the different parts of the procurement policy. Now here I have a small question. I hope all of you are not sleeping and I'm properly audible. The question is, which of the following best defines a conflict of interest in procurement? I have purposely not covered this topic because this is very interesting one. That's why I retained it for Q&A. The option are the act of selecting a supplier based solely on cost, a situation where procurement decision is influenced by personal or family relationships, choosing a supplier based on their delivery schedule, not negotiating prices with supplier. So let me know the answers for this one. Like, what do you think is conflict of interest? Okay, I am already getting answers as 222. Okay, and any more answers? So, what do you mean by conflict of interest in procurement? Because this is something which is very, very important while drafting the procurement policy or while reviewing this. This clause plays a very major role. Two, two, two. Okay. Okay, so how can I go against all of you people? Even I am here with you. It's two. It's a situation where procurement decision is influenced by personal or family relationship. That is the work is given to somebody who is in the board of members or who is from the procurement team. For example, imagine there is a clubhouse or there is a society for a group of apartment of around 3,000 apartments. Okay, that's a society, and there is a clubhouse, there is a residence association. Now they want to outsource the security guard service, the housekeeping service. So they, while searching for their procurement, they find that one of their directors is providing that service, and they engage him. That is called as conflict of interest. Okay, that is because you have the interest conflicted over there, because you have given it uh, basically on the interest of at your personal level, that you should have a good relationship with each other. That is why you have approved his bid or approved his tender. That is called as conflict of interest in procurement. So now, how can we take actions to mitigate this conflict of interest in procurement? So how can we stop it? The options are encouraging board members to buy from suppliers they know personally, allowing personal connections to influence supplier selection, disqualifying suppliers that are directly related to procurement staff or board members, avoiding any supplier relationship management. The answer is very straightforward here. I purposely made it very much evident so that everybody could actively participate. What could be the answer for this one? What is the best practice that we can take to mitigate this conflict of interest in procurement? I'm getting answers as three. The numbers are decreasing, like it was at least like 7, 8 people. Now hardly 2, 3 people are responding. Okay, so I've got answers as 3, 4. Okay, so any more answers? Three. Yes, correct. The correct answer is disqualifying suppliers that are directly related to the procurement staff or board of members. Now, you may ask me, isn't this against right to profession? No, this is not against the right to profession because this is a reasonable restriction that is being laid. So this was upheld in many of the judgments also, that yes, conflict of interest, if it arises, then the interest of the organization, it comes first. And this is not a restriction, or this is not a prohibition on the right to profession, right? You are allowed to carry that profession. You are not prohibited from doing that profession, but here there is a limitation. So here there is a restriction, and that restriction is reasonable one, and that is justified in the good interest of the organization or the institute. Now, moving this on the same point, what is the best way to prevent conflict of interest in procurement? So here we have anti-corruption policy, supplier diversity policy, supplier preference policy, no gift policy. This is a little tricky one. I do agree. So let me know how many of you attempt here. See, the thing here is not to have the correct answer, but the thing here is to just attempt it. So three, 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 three. Three. Any more answers for this one? Apart from three, anybody would like to give a different answer here? Come on, guys. This is the last session. Like you can see that there are around 13 plus people. 193. At least 10 answers. 6 are done. Any more answers? 4. Okay. 4. Okay. So 4s are coming up. So I have 1, 3, 4. Anybody 2? No? 2 and 3. Okay. Okay, now let me reveal the answer. The answer is 4. No gift policy. Shweta, you were right for the first time. Sorry, you were right earlier. It is 4. I'll tell you why and what are these policy and what is the loopholes in this. First one is anti-corruption policy. So anti-corruption policy, it is against the practice of corruption, wherein taking bribes, giving bribes. So over there, if anything, if there is any financial transaction, it is very important to prove that yes, that is a bribe thing. Okay, you have to bring it to the point. Yes, that is a bribe that is done. Now, supplier diversity policy is wherein you choose different suppliers. You choose all over the world, all over the globe. So you will not repeat the same supplier. But that doesn't make any sense with reference to conflict of interest. Supplier preference policy also. See, if you don't give it to this person who's related to you, you can give it to somebody else also. And also need not necessary that you have to have the direct connection. There could be some Benami transactions also. To cover all of these things, we have no gift policy. No gift policy, it means that you will never ever take any kind of gifts from our clients. See, what happens is, I don't know, I should be telling this on a recorded session or not, but whenever any kind of bribes are given, right, they would be given during festivals. They would be given during Deepavali. They'll be giving during New Year, or any kind of festival. That is the reason why during Deepavali, if you have seen the gold coins, or the huge boxes, huge decorative items, all of these things, all that uh, gift giving season starts. That is a reason, so that the bribe or whatever that you pay, it will be covered as a gift. Now, suppose I am working in a company, and I will not do this one. I'm just telling this one. Now they are looking for a vendor. So what I do is like, okay, I am the procurement specialist over there. I am the sourcing head or the procurement head. They tell that, okay, you do this one, we'll get you that, we'll get you this, do something and get all our bills paid, and etc. 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 So what I do is I immediately process them, I finalize them, I pay them all the money. And then on the Deepavali festival, they give me a gold coin. Now, can my employer try me under anti-corruption policy? He cannot, because that's not a bribe that I have taken. He has given me the gift. He is very happy that he got his project, he got the deal, he won the tender, he won the bid, whatever it is. That is why, out of happiness, he is giving me a gift. How can it be tried under anti-corruption policy when it is not a bribe altogether? That's a gift. My employer will never ever be able to prove that no, that's a bribe. I'll tell that no, that's a gift that he has given to me. There was festival and we knew each other. So as per our Indian traditions, it is okay to give gifts. That is why we have given gifts to each other. He has given according to his standards, and I have given according to my standards. That's so simple. To evade these kind of situations, not to come up with these kind of things, we have the procurement people, they have brought in no gifts policy. It may be Deepavali, it may be New Year, or it may be any festival. You will not take any kind of gifts from our clients. It is very clear. And also, the language will be inclusive of direct as well as indirect gifts. Sometimes you will not have a direct gift. Sometimes it will be indirect, like through some other sources. You see, instead of giving it to me, he gave it to my sister. How does it make a difference? At the end of the day, it is coming to our home, right? It is not making any kind of difference. But it is up to the employer to find out that yes, the benefit has gone to my sister and it has come to my home in return. There, my if I play my intelligence over there, then I can trick my company. Otherwise, no gift policy is very stringent. And this no gift policy is not just related to the procurement policy, but also it is related, it is present these days even in many kind of the service providing or goods related contracts, like service contracts, consultancy agreements. Many places you can find this no gift policy, because they understood the loopholes in the anti-corruption policy. And to cover that, we have no gift policy as a covering thing. I hope I made it clear and everybody understood this. Any questions in and around this one?
Ma'am, can you repeat the third one, like shortly?
Supply preference policy. Yeah, they are preferred suppliers. Okay, for example, now you want to purchase grocery. You will have your favorite two or three stops, right? Shops that I'll purchase from this shop only. First, I'll go to this shop. Then, if I'm not there, only then I'll go to that shop. That is called as supplier preference policy or preferred suppliers. They are your preferred suppliers. First, whatever services you need, you will go to them. If they are not providing, if they don't have, then you will go for others. Understood? Okay. I hope this is clear to you. Moving next, before we look into the actual procurement policy, some independent policies which are related to the procurement policies: vendor selection policy, conflict of interest policy. You will have this because I have seen organizations wherein they have a different standalone conflict of interest policy, which has very specifically called out that who are the prohibited suppliers, and what are the parameters to be considered, and so many other things. Even the ex employers were also brought into that uh, force, that this one, like somebody has from the procurement team has worked in the department, even that is under the radar of prohibited suppliers. Next, we have supply relationship management, no gift policy, which we discussed, anti corruption policy also we discussed, supply diversity policy we discussed, purchase order terms also we discussed, like the terms that will govern the purchase order. Next, we have contract management policy. See, contract management policy will speak about contract templates, the contract playbook, fallback languages, negotiation terms and conditions, and then followed by the storing of the contract, execution of the contract. In many of the organizations, it is the other party who will sign the contract first. Now, for example, I am entering into a contract with Prajakta. Then my contract management policy will say that Prajakta will sign the contract first. After that, I will sign. Okay, so there are policies like this. In all the organizations, it's like that. Like the other party will sign it first, and I will sign it later. And also regarding the storage of the contract, regarding the contract numbering. Okay, so the numbering is different from one organization to the another, and also there will be this naming conventions. So all of these things will be different. So all those things together fall under this contract management policy. Though contract management is a part of procurement policy, but it can have an another policy in it. Confidentiality and non-disclosure policy. See, this is especially for the procurement team. See, you know what happens now. We have charged this session at 500 rupees. Now, that's the rate that has been fixed by Indian Institute of Industrial and Professional Studies. How much they are paying me? That is a confidential information. Procurement team will be knowing this one. Okay, so if you are paying this one this much to them, and what is the in return that you are getting, what is the saving that you are getting, so all of those things they have to keep it confidential. And also sometimes, you know what happens is, suppose we are availing, we imagine I am a food, I manufacture pickle, I prepare pickles. So I get tender mangoes from some place at, imagine, 60 rupees. And that is the least price for that one. And procurement team knows it. Wherein all my competitors are purchasing it for 100 rupees. And I am able to give it, sale the final pickle at a good rate because of the fact that I'm getting the pickle at the cheap rate. My raw material sourcing are at a cheap rate and are at a high quality. So my procurement team is bound to protect my information. They are supposed to ensure that my source of raw materials is not disclosed to my competitors, or it is brought into the general public domain. So therein they are also bound by the confidentiality and non-disclosure policy. And then inventory management policy, like what is the inventory that we hold, how are we going to manage it, and all other things. Like for example, as I said, I'm manufacturing pickle. So we know that, okay, when it's a mango season, the price of the mango will come down. So how am I going to manage it? Am I purchasing it in huge quantities and storing it in cold house, or how am I doing it? That is called as inventory management policy. And again, all these policies can be part of the procurement policy, or it can be a standalone policy depending on the nature and size of the organization. As I said, it is all about how huge your company is and what is your company's strategies. Yes. And before we move to the final part, I would like to walk you through the sourcing policies. Just one second. Hmm. Okay, sorry, procurement policy, not sourcing policy. So, procurement policy of Supreme Court of India. You can see that this is the government website, and this is the link of the Supreme Court website. And I've taken it from here. So this is 2008 one. I've taken this because this was more detailed and it had more terminologies here. As approved by the Honorable Chief Justice of India, wide orders. See here, you can see that this is not a contract. This is issued as circular. Okay. And there is the circular number so and so, and wide orders dated so and as amended by so and so, so and so, so and so. And this is the one, practice and procedure, chapter 9 of Manual of Office Procedure, administrative side, regarding purchase of stores and procurement of services, etc. So let us see what is their terms and conditions. We'll have a quick walk through this one. I'll share you the link also. You can go through it one in detail. Let me zoom it. Okay. Okay, so see the first part, it says that purchases shall be made in most economical manner and in accordance with definite requirements of the Supreme Court. So this is the first part that we discussed, assessment of needs. Okay, so we have to first see if it is required or not. The stores shall not be purchased in small quantities. Periodical incidents shall be prepared, as many articles as possible obtained by means of such indents. So indents is the list. Okay, so we are preparing the list. At the same time, care shall be taken not to purchase stores much in advance of actual requirement if such purchase is likely to prove financially imprudent. That is, we are also including the forecasting part, but it should not be much. And also it says that it shall be scope, okay, have been laid down by the Honorable Supreme Chief Justice of India. The office order ordering the supply shall certify on the purchase order that is prescribed scales or limits are not exceeded. Like, you are having the budget, you are having the limitations, you should not be ordering more than that. And then it has given the split up, like, okay, to what extent who has the authority. Supplementary articles which shall be purchased with the approval, okay, with the approval of the authority, that is up to 20,000 rupees. Approval of registrar, HOO. So this person has the limitation to approve up to 20,000 rupees in a financial year. Moving next, when it comes to rupees 5,000 more, then it will be sent to additional registrar in charge of purchases. 5,001 to 20,000 with the approval of registrar, head of office, HOO, and above 20,000 with the approval of Honorable Chief Justice of India. Okay, so you have to go to there. And also, what happens if there is urgent need? Then if there is urgent need, then it can be purchased on the recommendation of committee of officers constituted by the Secretary General. Okay, and also there is limitation. Such purchases shall not exceed rupees 20,000 at a time and 1 lakh in a year. Okay, and the committee shall be required to give certificate in terms of Rule 146 of GFR in case of such purchase. And then it has given all the approving authorities. After that, here you can see it is speaking about the tender, like how the tender will be done, how the tender will be issued. So this will be issued by the except in urgent cases, 2 weeks time should be given. And yeah, so how are they going to advertise it? Advertise it in Indian Trade Journal, published by Director General of Commercial Intelligence and Statistics, Kolkata. At least one national daily published from Delhi, having wider circulation, and on the website of the Supreme Court. Okay, direct invitation to a limited number of firms. Invitation to one firm only provided previous approval of the Honorable Chief Justice of India obtained in writing. And also it has given the open tender system, limited tender system, the monetary limitations for it, followed by it has again sourcing. How are they going to do the sourcing? And how see it is in the knowledge of the additional registrar in charge of the purchases that only a particular firm is the manufacturer and there is no authorized dealer of the required goods, that is original equipment manufacturers, OEMs. Okay, in case of emergency, the required goods are necessarily to be purchased from a particular source, and the reason for such decision is to be recorded and approval of the competent authority is obtained. So if there is any case of emergency and you purchase, then this is the approval that you should have. Machinery and standard parts you are having, and proprietary article certification in the following form shall be recorded by the additional registrar in charge of purchases before procuring the goods from a single source. Intended so and so approvals, all of the other documents has to be done. And all purchases, like how it is made. It is also again speaking of the tender process. It has spoken about tender, exceptions to tender, and how is the approvals done. So again, it is speaking of all the process that has to be done. Again, you can see the limitations, the pricing limitations, and wherever feasible, stamps, stickers, marks, barcoding of Supreme Court of India shall be put on all the articles. Repacked goods or the goods which does not bear the name and address of the manufacturer shall not be purchased unless permitted by the authority competent to make purchase. See, you can see these lines. So if Supreme Court of India will not purchase any goods if it is repacked and which does not bear the name and address of the manufacturer. The exception is if the authority permits for it, then they will be taking it. Okay, and yeah, no earnest money will be required from the suppliers whose names are included in the list maintained, all other things. And also it speaks about the security that is to be done, procurement of services, tenders. So now here we are done with the goods, we are here dealing with the services, branded products, and all other things. You can see it also speaks about the samples. If the samples are required to be given, but they cannot be conveniently kept in an envelope, the envelopes containing earnest money, if required to be given by the tenderers, shall be opened in the presence of such tenderers who wish to remain present at the time. So earnest money is a deposit that they give. Okay, so you can see this. This is the procurement policy, one of the procurement policy of the Supreme Court, wherein they are purchasing goods for purchasing for the stationary items. And I have one more one, that is 2023, the latest one. Here you can see that a similar kind of procurement procedure, procurement policy 2023 or procurement policy. It is the same thing. It's the same title. Will be made in the more economical manner in accordance with definite requirement of Supreme Court. Prior analysis will be done. Periodical incidents will be done. It is the same thing that we discussed. It is nothing else. Okay, and all the approvals will be done. So here also you can see that how the reference has been given, not exceeding 40% of the original procurement and up to 5 lakh rupees in terms of the total value in a financial year can be made with the approval of HOO. And procurement of goods and services up to 25,000 rupees can be made by additional registrar in charge of procurement, and total value shall not exceed 3 lakh rupees in a month. And also it has given all the breakups, like who has the authority to give approval of how much. And also it is showing the thing like contingent expenditure budget, that how are they going to uh, like this is the expenditure that we will bear. Like they have to give the forecast. See, first quarter statement for the period of 1st April to 30th June shall be submitted on or before 10th July. September shall be submitted before 10th October. So this is what they are supposed to do. And per form of certificate to be given by the officer in charge of the residential office. Okay, now if they purchase anything in the urgent basis, so this is how they are supposed to do. Okay? The name and designation, the cash memos are to be attested. And again, they have to give an undertaking that HOO, I am personally satisfied that these goods purchased are of the requisite available and specifications and have been purchased from a reliable supplier or source. Hmm? And you can see all the terms and conditions for tendering, like GEM tendering, Central Public Procurement Portal, CPP. So it is speaking about the entire things. So this again, this runs for about 15 pages, I guess. Yes, yeah, 15 pages. It speaks about procurements of goods, procurement of service, and also the approvals mechanism, and also the tender mechanism, and also what to do in the case of emergency, what is the step that they have to follow, what is the procedure that they have to follow. So this is an lengthy, not very lengthy, but up to, which runs about up to 15 pages. And also it's, you can see the members of the tender opening committees and all other things. So this is all copied to them. Okay. So this is all about the procurement policy of the Supreme Court of India. I'll be sharing you this document as well as the previous document also. You can go through them. It is 2008 and it is 2023. Same thing, like you can see how the procurement policy has been brought into more picture. And before we wind up, I have one more procurement policy from Government of India, Ministry of Finance, Department of Expenditure. So manual for procurement of works, so and so. See, I always rely on the government department, government documents, because I am very much sure that there is very less scope of error in those documents. You will not find so many errors over there, and also it will be so comprehensive. You can see this document runs for 214 pages. This is not a small number, like 214 pages. You can see how voluminous it is, and it has everything covered, every situation covered. They have put up their all years of experience, knowledge, problems that they have faced, everything is put up here. Okay, so always refer the government documents. I always tell everyone, do not go for any kind of documents, any other documents, or any random template that you find. That's why I do not emphasize on generating templates and keeping it. No, you have to have it everything tailored, and you have a ready-made reference of the government documents. You can see procurement rules and regulations manual. You can see a procurement glossary too, applicability of this manual. Then we have preparation of estimates. How are we going to do the estimates? Agency for procurement, type of contract, bidding system, modes of procurement. So you can see electronic procurement, how it is done, preparing bid documents, publication, receipt, and opening of bids, how it is done, evaluation of bids and award of work, executing and monitoring of works and quality assurance. Even you can see closure of contracts, how the contracts are closed, breach of contracts, remedies, termination. Then we have registration and enlistment of contractors for government's issues. And then we have procurement guidelines, bid opening attendance sheet cum report, tender committee meetings format, invitation and declaration for negotiation, format revised offer in negotiation, letter of nomination, letter or notification of award, LOA of contract, no claim certificate, sample of MOU, a template of MOU, flowchart process of procurement of works. You can see all the concepts here. Okay, so certificate to be inserted via tenders. You name it and you have it here. Okay, see here, legal aspects of public procurement, relevant provisions of Constitution of India, silent features of Indian Contract Act, silent features of Indian Arbitration and Conciliation, Silent Features of Competition Act relating to anti-competitive practices, silent features of Whistleblowers Protection Act 2011 and Whistleblowers Amendment Act of 2015. And also it speaks about e-procurement services and other things. And I'm sure if we read it throughout the year also, we'll not be able to finish it. It is such lengthy, like as I said, 214 pages. I'll share this link also with you, and I humbly request you, even though you don't read it, just have a glance like what I'm doing right now. Like just scroll to the pages, you will find a lot of information. Very honestly, like these are the documents that I refer to upscale myself, or whenever I have time, I read these documents so that I get to know the other sides. I get to know the problems that they face. I get to know the reason behind bringing those things, and yeah, such kind of clauses. What is the need of having such clauses, and what clauses can be there in the contract or in the policies to make it sound more better and to make it more relatable. Okay, so I'll share these three clauses, these three links, and also I'll be sharing the PPTs along with the recording of the session. So this is how we wind up our session for the procurement policies today. Any questions, or do you want me to repeat any of the topics? I know it is a very lengthy session for the day, but yes, any question, or do you want me to repeat any topic? We have another 10 minutes. You can submit it by next Wednesday. I hope that's sufficient time, or we can make it up to 18 also. Yeah, yeah. After set completion of assessment, certificates will be issued to everyone. I think we can have 18 as the last date for submission of all the assignments. Will that work? Okay, so 18th is the date fixed. Yeah, any questions on procurement policies? How many of you understood this whole concept? That's more important to me here today. Was the topic clear? Was it too fast, or it was like yeah, I'll surely share that project. I'll write it in my to-do list. The DPDP Act session. Yeah, I'll do it with along these links. Yeah, there were many concepts which got clarified today. It was helpful. Thank you. Yeah, I think there are no more questions. We are good to wrap up the session. Thank you, everyone, for actively engaging in the previous 18th. 18th is the last date. For actively engaging in all of these sessions. Thank you so much. Next Wednesday, yeah, it will feel a little vacant. I'll definitely miss the session. Yeah, thank you, everyone. And yes, we'll meet in some other sessions, some other sessions that will be conducted. And yes, please do share your assessment on or before 18th, and we'll share the certificates accordingly. Thank you.